Simone's hands shook on the steering wheel. Mascara ran down her face in black streaks, dripping onto the collar of her coat. She couldn't breathe right, couldn't think past the ringing in her ears. He went out that night because of you. I will never forgive you. 20 years. 20 years of her mother's coldness, and Simone had always known why. Known it in the way Evelyn looked at her, known in every comparison to Nia. Every time love got given to her sister while she got criticism. She'd known her mother blamed her for her father's death, but tonight, Evelyn had finally said it out loud, and hearing those words spoken in her mother's cold voice in front of Nia and Sean made Simone realise something that shattered her. This would never change. Her mother would never forgive her. 20 years of trying, of sending money, of shrinking herself, of hoping that maybe one day Evelyn would look at her with the warmth she gave Nia. All of it had been for nothing. Her. Phone lit up on the passenger seat. Jiho's name flashed across the screen. He was calling. Probably worried because she'd told him she was having dinner with her family tonight. Probably sensed something was wrong. She couldn't talk to him. Not now. Not like this. Simone started the car, tears streaming down her face. The phone kept ringing. She let it go to voicemail. She put the car in reverse and pulled out of her mother's driveway. The phone buzzed again and again as she drove into the night. She drove away, leaving them all behind, and didn't look back. Hey, friends, let's take a step back, shall we? 8 months earlier, Simone had been grading papers in her classroom after school when the principal knocked on her door. Ms. Davis, do you have a minute? She looked up. Principal Martinez stood in the doorway with a man Simone had never seen before. Tall, Korean, maybe early 30s. He wore a dark sweater and slacks. Nothing flashy, but he stood like someone that gave orders. He had that aura. This is Mr. Kang, Martinez said. He's funding a new scholarship program for our students. I thought you could help coordinate since you run the college prep advisory. Of course. Simone stood, wiping chalk dust off her hands. Nice to meet you. Kang Jiho's eyes met hers, and something flickered across his face. Interest, curiosity. Ms. Davis teaches junior English, Martinez continued. She'll be able to identify students who'd benefit most from the program. Perfect. Jiho's voice was low, controlled. When can we meet to discuss details? They set up weekly meetings. Simone told herself it was professional, just coordinating a scholarship program. But she noticed things she shouldn't have. The way he watched her when she talked, how he always brought coffee to their meetings, remembered everything she said in passing, the questions that went past professional, interpersonal. You pack lunch every day, he said, during their second meeting, nodding at the Tupperware on her desk. Saves money. She kept her tone light. He looked at the container, then at her shoes, the same pair from last week. His expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. Smart. The word felt loaded, like he'd noticed more than she wanted him to. By the third meeting, he'd stopped asking about her students, but about her. Where she'd gone to school, what made her want to teach. Simple questions that somehow felt like he was cataloguing everything. You send money home? He asked during their fourth meeting. The question was too direct, too knowing. She looked up from the student files they'd been reviewing. My family needs help sometimes. How much? Heat crawled up her neck. Now, that's personal. I apologize for intruding, he said, but his jaw tightened, just for a second. Then he nodded and went back to the files. But she felt him file that information away, catalogue it with everything else he'd noticed. The shoes. The way she apologized for every damn thing. Later that week, her phone buzzed during lunch. Bank notification. $1,500 sent to Evelyn Davis. Current balance, $240. She stared at the screen. Rent was due in 3 days. She'd have to pick up that tutoring gig she'd been avoiding. Her phone buzzed again. Text from her mother. Got it. The furnace repair cost more than expected. Can you send another $500 by Friday? Simone closed her eyes, opened them, typed, I'll see what I can do. No, thank you came back. Just, Nia's coming for dinner Sunday. Her body is amazing. You should ask her about her trainer. Here we go again. She ignored the message and continued what she was doing. The next morning, Abigail cornered her after Jiho's next visit. Girl. Her best friend shut the classroom door and leaned against it. That man is not here about scholarships. Come on, Abigail. It's just professional. Professional, my arse. He looks at you like he's starving and you're a 5-course meal. Heat crawled up Simone's neck. You're exaggerating. I'm a married woman, not a dead woman. I know what hunger looks like. Abigail crossed her arms. And baby, that man is hungry. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Simone went back to grading papers. Nothing. He's just being nice. Abigail's voice went soft. When's the last time someone was nice to you and didn't want something back? The question sat in Simone's chest long after Abigail left. The next week, Jiho showed up with coffee and a look that said he was done pretending this was just about scholarships. Would you like to go out with me sometime? He said after they'd finished reviewing applications. Not about the program, about you and I. Simone's heart kicked against her ribs. I don't think that's a good idea. Why not? She couldn't tell him the truth, that she was stunned he was even asking. That women who looked like her didn't get asked out by men who looked like him. She scrambled for something believable. People will talk. I'm a teacher, and you're about to make a major donation to the school. It would look inappropriate. Something dangerous moved across his face. He leaned forward slightly, not touching her but close enough that she could smell his cologne. Simone, I don't give a shit what people think. Do you want to go out with me or not? The words rewrote something in her chest. She sat there, papers forgotten, staring at a man who'd just dismissed every objection she could hide behind, while the real reason she was afraid still sat unspoken between them. Okay, she whispered. He invited her to his penthouse in Manhattan the following Friday. Simone's stomach had been in knots the entire ride. This was insane. She barely knew him, but when she stepped off the elevator into his apartment, big windows overlooking the city, and saw him standing in the kitchen wearing a black t-shirt and jeans, it was an amazing sight. You cook? She asked. When it matters. He pulled out a bar stool for her. Sit. Watch. She sat. Watched him move through the kitchen with the same focused intensity he brought to everything. Garlic hit hot oil, filling the space with smell. Vegetables sizzled. He didn't talk much, just cooked. And she realized he was nervous. What are you making? Bulgogi, kimchi fried rice. Pajeon. He glanced at her. Hope you like Korean food. I don't know. I've never had it. His hand stilled for half a second and said, There is a first time for everything, Simone. Then he nodded and went back to cooking. 30 minutes later, he set dishes in front of her, small plates of banchan, the main dishes steaming and fragrant. It looked like art, smelled like heaven. Simone's hand hovered over the serving spoon. She took a small portion of rice, one piece of beef. That's it. Jiho hadn't sat down yet. He stood across the counter, watching her. I'm not that hungry. I had a late lunch. Are you kidding? You worked all day, stayed late grading, took the subway here. His voice was gentle but firm. When did you eat? Jiho came around the counter, sat next to her instead of across from her. Cut a piece of bulgogi, held it out on his chopsticks. Eat. I can feed myself. I know you can. His eyes held hers. Let me, anyway. This is better. Her throat tightened. She opened her mouth. He fed her the beef. Flavour exploded on her tongue. Savoury, slightly sweet, perfectly tender. She made a sound she immediately regretted. Jiho's expression shifted. Hunger, satisfaction, possessiveness, all mixed together. More, he said. Not a question. She ate. He fed her, watching every bite like it mattered, like she mattered. Her hand reached for more rice, hesitated. He saw it, filled her plate himself. This is amazing, she said after the fourth bite. You should enjoy food. He set down the chopsticks, his hand covering hers on the counter. Who taught you not to? The question cracked something open. She looked at their hands, his large and calloused, hers smaller and shaking slightly. My mother says I enjoy it too much already. The muscle in his jaw jumped. Your mother is wrong. You don't know her. His thumb stroked across her knuckles. I know she is wrong. Simone's eyes burned. She pulled her hand away, wiped at her face. Sorry, I'm being ridiculous. Stop apologising. His voice went firm. You're in my home. You're eating food I made for you. There's nothing to apologise for. She laughed, broken and wet. You don't understand. My whole life, I've been too much. Too big, too loud, too hungry. My sister Nia, she's perfect, thin, accomplished, everything my mother wanted, and I'm just a teacher who keeps disappointing everyone. Jiho stood, came around to her side of the counter. He turned her bar stool so she faced him, his hands on either side of her, caging her in. Look at me. She did. His face was inches from hers, expression fierce. You are not too much. You are exactly right, and if your family can't see that, then that is their business. His hand came up, cupped her face. Then he kissed her on her forehead. She froze for half a second, every instinct screaming that this was too good, that men like him didn't choose women like her. But his hand tightened on her face, gentle and certain, and something in her surrendered. She kissed him on his lips instead. When they finally pulled apart, she was breathless. He pressed his forehead to hers, eyes closed. I should go home. It's getting late. Not going to happen. You haven't eaten. Let me feed you properly, Simone. Let me take care of you for one night. She should have said no, should have kept this professional, kept boundaries, kept herself safe, but she wasn't strong enough to resist him. Okay. They ate. He fed her bite after bite, never rushing, just watching her with that focused intensity. When she tried to stop, he'd hold out another piece. One more. Teasing her like a baby, she'd eat it. Then another. Then another. Until she realised she wasn't just full, she was satisfied. After dinner, they moved to the couch, city lights spread out below them like fallen stars. She sat next to him, close but not touching, and felt the space between them like a physical thing. Tell me about your father, he said out of the blue. The request caught her off guard. Why? Because you mentioned your mother and your sister, but not him. She looked out at the city. He died when I was 8. Jiho waited, didn't push, just waited to see if she would continue. I was sick, she said finally. Just a cold, but I needed medicine. He drove to the pharmacy to get it. Her throat tightened, had a heart attack in the car, died before the ambulance got there. The medicine was still in the passenger seat when they found him. His hand found hers in the dark. Let me guess. Your mother blames you? Yeah. The word came out broken. She's never said it out loud, but I've known. 20 years of her looking at me like I killed him. 20 years of trying to make up for being born wrong, for getting sick. Jiho pulled her against his chest. She went, let herself be held, and felt something crack open, that she'd been holding shut for 2 decades. He didn't tell her it wasn't her fault, didn't give her platitudes she'd heard before and never believed. He just held her tighter, his hand moving through her hair, and let her feel it. I know that here. She tapped her head eventually. But here, she pressed her hand to her chest. Here I'm still that little girl, wondering why her mum stopped loving her. They sat like that for a long time, his arms around her, her face pressed to his chest, breathing him in. Eventually he shifted, tilted her face up to his. I want to see you again, he said. Not for scholarships, not for meetings, for this. What is this? She asked. You and me. Dinner. Talking. Me feeding you and watching you actually enjoy it. His thumb brushed her cheek. Something in her chest loosened, unfurled. I'd like that. 2 weeks later, he gave her a key to his apartment, and she was scared they were moving fast. They were having breakfast, him cooking eggs while she sat at the counter in one of his shirts, and he just set it down next to her coffee. What's this? A key? He didn't look up from the stove. So, you can come here whenever you want, whenever you need space, whenever they make you feel small. She stared at the small piece of metal. Gee-ho! This is too much. It's a key, Simone, not a marriage proposal. He plated the eggs, set them in front of her. I know you have your apartment, but I want you to have somewhere else, in case you just want to be alone, where you can breathe. And I'm not always here, so everything works out. She picked up the key. It was warm from his pocket. Thank you. He kissed the top of her head. Now eat. 3 months passed. 3 months of stolen mornings in his kitchen, of him cooking breakfast while she graded papers at his counter. 3 months of him picking her up after late faculty meetings, of weekend nights where she'd sleep in his bed and wake up to find him watching her like she was something precious. 3 months of her family talking and him noticing every time. It was a Tuesday night in early December when everything started unravelling faster. Simone was curled up on his couch, exhausted from parent-teacher conferences that had run until 8. Jiho had ordered Thai food, was feeding her pad CU straight from the container because she was too tired to hold the fork herself. Her phone rang. Mum flashed across the screen. Simone's whole body tensed. Jiho felt it, his hand stilling with the fork halfway to her mouth. You don't have to answer, he said quietly. But she was already reaching for it, already bracing herself. Hi, Mom. Jiho watched her face change, watched her spine straighten, her shoulders curl in slightly, watched her make herself smaller, even though Evelyn couldn't see her through the phone. Yes, I got your text about the car. Her voice had gone soft, careful. Mom, I just sent $1,500 last week. Pause. Jiho's jaw tightened. I know you need your car, but I don't have another 1,000 right now. Rent is... She stopped, listened, her eyes closed. That's not fair. I'm doing the best I can. Whatever Evelyn said next made Simone flinch. Jiho set down the food container, his full attention on her now. Nia's wedding fund isn't my responsibility, Simone said, voice shaking slightly. She and Sean both work. They can... Another pause. Longer this time. I'm not being selfish. I'm just saying I can't keep... She pulled the phone away from her ear, stared at it. Her mother had hung up. Simone sat there, phone in her lap, looking like she'd been slapped. Jiho's hand covered hers. What did she say? She needs money. $1,000. Simone's laugh was hollow. She said if I cared about my family, I'd find a way. That she would do it if I was the one asking. Would she? Simone looked at him. Nope. Then why are you even considering it? Because she's my mother. The words came out broken. Because maybe if I just help them one more time, she'll finally see that I'm trying. that I'm not the disappointment she thinks I am. Ji-ho pulled her against his chest, felt her shake with tears. She was trying not to cry. How long has this been going on? She stayed silent. Simone, you can talk to me. 8 years, she whispered, since I started teaching. 1,500 a month like clockwork, sometimes more when there's an emergency, the furnace, the roof, Nia's car, Mum's medical bills. She pulled back, wiped her eyes. I've sent over $100,000 and she still looks at me like I owe her more. His hand tightened on her shoulder. Do they know about me? I mentioned I was seeing someone. She asked if you were black. Simone's voice went flat. When I said no, she said I was making things harder for myself, that I should focus on losing weight before worrying about men who'd never marry me anyway. Ji-ho's expression went cold, lethal. I'm sorry, Simone said quickly. I shouldn't have... Stop. His thumb pressed against her lips. Stop apologizing for telling me the truth about how they treat you. She kissed his thumb. Exhausted. Defeated. I don't know how to stop trying, she admitted. I don't know how to just give up on them. He held her tighter. Didn't say what he was thinking, which was that he knew exactly how to make them stop. Instead, he said, you don't have to figure it out tonight. Just rest. She fell asleep against him, and Ji-ho sat in the dark, jaw clenched, already planning. The next day at school, Simone found Abigail in the teacher's lounge during lunch. She called again last night, Simone said, skipping the greeting. Abigail looked up from her sandwich. How much this time? 1,000. Did you send it? Not yet. Simone sat down hard, but she'll keep calling until I do. Abigail set down her food. Simone, baby, listen to me. What your mother is doing, that's not love. That's abuse. She's just... Simone started. Using you. Abigail cut in. She's using you as an ATM while treating you like trash, and you keep letting her because you're hoping one day she'll wake up and realize it. The words hit like a punch. Simone looked away. She's never going to change. Abigail said gently, you could send her $1 million and she'd still find something to criticize, still compare you to Nia, still blame you for your father. You don't know that. Want to know what I know? I know you came in here crying because she told you to lose weight before Nia's wedding so you wouldn't embarrass the family in photos. Abigail leaned forward. I know you work yourself to the bone and send half your paycheck home and still eat lunch alone because you're afraid someone will comment on what's on your plate. I know Ji-ho is the first man I've ever seen you relax around, and your mother's response was to tell you he'd never marry you. Simone's eyes burned. What am I supposed to do? Just stop talking to her. I'm saying you're allowed to protect yourself. You're allowed to say no. Abigail reached across the table, squeezed her hand. And that man you're with, he'd burn the world down for you. Maybe it's time you let someone actually take care of you instead of bleeding yourself dry for people who don't appreciate it. Simone nodded, not trusting her voice, and that night she didn't send the money. Her mother called 3 times. She didn't answer. By December 23rd, the guilt was eating her alive. I have to go to Christmas dinner, she told Ji-ho while he cooked breakfast. His hands stilled on the cutting board. You don't have to do anything. It's Christmas. If I don't show up, it'll be worse. He turned to face her. Let me come with you. I don't think that's a good idea, she said. Let me come with you, he repeated. Let me see them. Let me be there. She wanted to say yes, wanted him standing next to her when her mother made comments about her weight, when Nia showed off whatever new accomplishment Evelyn was celebrating, but she also knew bringing him would make it real, would force her to choose between the family she was born into and the man who actually loved her. Not yet. she said quietly. Please, I'm not ready. His jaw clenched, but he nodded. Whenever you are ready, then. Okay, Christmas Day, Simone showed up at her mother's house with homemade pecan pie, a pan of mac and cheese that had taken her 3 hours, and gifts she'd put on a credit card she couldn't afford. Evelyn opened the door in a red dress, pearls, full makeup. Oh, you're here. Not a greeting, a statement. Merry Christmas, Mom. Evelyn's eyes dropped to the dish in Simone's hands. You brought food. How sweet. Inside, Nia and Sean were already on the couch, glasses of wine in hand. The house smelled like ham and some expensive candle. Christmas music played softly. Simone. Nia stood, came over for a hug that felt forced. You look good. It was a lie. They both knew it. You look amazing. That wasn't a lie. Nia was wearing a red dress that made her look like a model. Thank you. That reminds me. Nia touched her flat stomach unconsciously. I've been working with a trainer. You should get his info. There it was. Less than 2 minutes in, Simone set her dishes on the kitchen counter. Evelyn was already pulling out a store-bought cake, arranging it on a crystal platter. I made pie, Simone offered. I'm sure it's lovely, but we have dessert covered. Evelyn didn't even look at it, just moved Simone's containers to the side, out of the way. Dinner was worse. Simone sat across from Nia and Sean while Evelyn served ham, scalloped potatoes, green beans. She didn't touch the mac and cheese Simone had brought, didn't even mention it. So Sean got promoted, Evelyn said, beaming at him. Senior partner before 40. We're so proud. Congratulations, Simone said. Sean smirked. Thanks. It's been a good year. And Nia's promotion at the hospital, Evelyn continued. Head of her department. My girl is so accomplished. Simone's fork paused halfway to her mouth. My girl. Singular. Like Simone wasn't sitting right there. How's teaching? Nia asked, almost like an afterthought. Good. We just finished the fall semester. Still at the same school? Evelyn's tone suggested disappointment. Yes. Evelyn sipped her wine. Well, stability is important, even if it's not particularly ambitious. Simone's chest tightened. She focused on her plate. Evelyn turned to Nia. Speaking of ambition, have you decided on the venue? The country, club, or the vineyard? We're leaning toward the vineyard, Nia said. More elegant. I think the country club would photograph better, Simone offered quietly. The gardens there are. Nia. What do you think? Evelyn cut across her like she hadn't spoken. You're the bride. It's your day. Simone's words died in her throat. She took a bite of ham. Tasted nothing. Nia, show her the ring, Evelyn said, lighting up. Nia held out her hand. The diamond was massive. It's beautiful, Simone managed. Sean designed it himself. Evelyn touched Nia's hand, admiring it. Spring wedding. We're thinking June. That's fast. When, if you know, you know. Sean pulled Nia close, kissed her temple. So, why wait? They looked perfect together, thin, successful, glowing, everything Evelyn had ever wanted. After dinner, they moved to the living room for gifts. Nia opened hers first. Designer bag from Evelyn, expensive perfume, a jewellery box with pearl earrings. Mum, you didn't have 2. But Nia was glowing. Nothing's too good for my baby. Sean got a watch. Evelyn's gift from him and Nia was a spa day package. Then Simone's turn. She opened the small box with her name on it. Inside was a plastic card. A gym membership, Evelyn announced brightly. 1 year, fully paid. Thought you could use it, sweetheart. New year, new you, right? The room went silent. Simone stared at the card, at this gift that was really a condemnation, a public statement that she was too fat, too much, not acceptable as she was. Sean was trying not to smirk. Nia looked uncomfortable, but said nothing. "Thanks, Mom," Simone heard herself say. "They have great trainers there, and nutrition counselling." Evelyn smiled like she'd done something generous. "I just want you to be healthy." Healthy, the word their family used instead of thin. "I'm going to use the bathroom," Simone said, stood and walked out before anyone could see her face crumble. In the bathroom, she locked the door and tried to breathe, tried not to cry, failed at both. Her phone was in her hand before she'd made a conscious decision. She texted Jiho, "I can't do this anymore." His response came in seconds. "Then don't. Come home." She washed her face, fixed her makeup as best she could, went back out to the living room. "I have to go," she said. "Already?" Evelyn looked annoyed. "We haven't even had dessert." "I'm not feeling well." "You just got here." "I'm sorry." Simone grabbed her coat, her purse. "Thank you for the gift." She was out the door before anyone could argue. The drive to Manhattan took 50 minutes. Her phone rang 4 times. She didn't answer, didn't care. Just drove toward the one place that felt like home. Jiho opened the door before she could use her key, like he'd been waiting by it. She walked into his arms and broke. The sob that came out of her tasted like salt and shame. Her chest physically hurt, like something inside had cracked open and was bleeding. "I got a gym membership," she said when she could form words. "That's what my mother gave me for Christmas. A freaking gym membership and a lecture about being healthy." His arms tightened around her. She felt his whole body go rigid. "Want to know what my sister got?" "Designer bag. Pearls." He picked her up, just scooped her into his arms like she weighed nothing and carried her to the couch, sat down with her in his lap, held her while she cried. Her throat burned, her eyes burned, everything burned. "I keep trying," she said when she could breathe again. "I keep showing up and hoping this time will be different. This time she'll see me. This time she'll love me like she loves Nia. And do you know what's funny? If she called me tomorrow saying she needs something, I would do it again, hoping it might turn out well. I'm so freaking pathetic." Jiho's hand moved through her hair. His other hand was clenched into a fist against her back. "Don't say that my—" "Love, you aren't pathetic and I won't let them keep doing this to you," he said quietly. The words felt like a promise, like a threat. She didn't ask what he meant, just closed her eyes and let him hold her, too tired to fight anymore. "Hey friends, before we continue, let me ask you something. Have you ever been given a gift that was really an insult? A gym membership? A diet book? Something wrapped in kindness but designed to cut you down? If this brings memories, go ahead and hit that like button. It tells me I'm not alone. Now, let's see what happens when Evelyn pushes Simone too far. On New Year's Eve morning, her phone buzzed. Text from her mother. "Family dinner tonight, 6 p.m. We would love to have you with us. I have news. I think we should talk about what happened at Christmas." Jiho found her staring at the message in his kitchen. "You don't have to go," he said quietly. "It's New Year's Eve." "That doesn't mean anything." She looked at him. "What is the one that can happen? Will she give me another horrible gift?" She laughed. She arrived at her mother's house at 6 with homemade sweet potato pie, the same pie her father used to love. Maybe that would mean something this time. Evelyn opened the door, hair perfect, lips pressed into a thin line. "Welcome, Simone." Simone. Nia's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Come join us. We were just talking about the wedding venue." "Sounds exciting," Simone said. She set the pie on the kitchen counter. Evelyn glanced at it, said nothing, turned back to checking the roast. Dinner was tense from the first bite. They sat at the dining table, the 4 of them, with too much space between the words. "Sean's firm landed the Morrison account," Evelyn said, cutting her beef. Biggest client they've ever had. Congratulations, Simone offered. Sean smirked. Thanks. The goal is to have a better year than last. And Nia's been looking at houses, Evelyn continued, ignoring Simone entirely now. That beautiful development in Montclair, the one with the golf course. Evelyn set down her fork. Actually, that's what we wanted to talk to you about. Something in her tone made Simone's stomach drop. We're selling the house, Evelyn announced. Nia and Sean need help with a down payment. The words didn't make sense at first. Simone looked around the dining room, at the house she'd grown up in. What? The market's good right now, Evelyn continued, matter of fact. And they need help getting started. I see no reason why I should stay here anymore. But Simone's voice came out small. She hated how small it sounded. I've been sending you $1,500 a month for years to help you keep this house. That was your choice, Evelyn said. No one asked you to do that. The room tilted slightly. You told me you needed help with the mortgage. You said you couldn't afford it without me. And you offered. Evelyn sipped her wine. I never forced you. I didn't put a gun to your head, did I? Something hot flared in Simone's chest. You called me crying about foreclosure notices, about losing Dad's house. You made me feel like if I didn't send money, you'd be on the street. Don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. I'm stating facts. Simone's voice got stronger. 8 years, $1,500 a month. That's over $100,000, Mum. I could have bought my own house with that money. And we appreciated it. Evelyn's voice went sharp. But Nia has actual needs, a future. You're 28, single, just a teacher. Nia has a husband, a real career, a life worth investing in. A real career. Simone set down her fork. I teach children. I shape futures. What exactly makes that less real than Nia's job? Simone, Nia said quietly. A warning. No. Simone turned to her sister. You've been silent through all of this, through Christmas, through Mom treating me like garbage. Say something. Nia looked at her plate. This isn't the time. When is the time? When is it ever the time for you to stand up for me? You're being unfair, Evelyn snapped. Your sister doesn't need to defend your choices. My choices? Simone laughed, hollow. I chose to help you. I chose to send money I didn't have. I chose to show up for every holiday knowing I'd be compared to Nia and found wanting. Those were my choices, and you're telling me they meant nothing. Don't make this about you, Evelyn said. This is about family, about helping the people who actually contribute. I contribute. I've been contributing for years. What has Nia contributed? What has she ever sacrificed for this family? How dare you? Evelyn's face flushed. Your sister doesn't owe you anything. But I owe you everything. Simone stood, chair scraping loud against the floor. Is that it? I owe you for being born, for existing, for getting sick when I was 8 years old. The room went silent. Simone, sit down, Evelyn said. Voice, low and dangerous. No. Tears burned her eyes, but her voice stayed steady. Tell me, what did I do? What is so wrong with me that you can't love me like you love Nia? Why can't you look at me without disappointment? You want to know. Evelyn stood too, face twisted. Evelyn, Nia said quietly, a warning. She wants to know. Evelyn said, voice rising. Fine. He went out that night because of you. The room went silent. Even the music seemed to stop. Simone's breath caught. What? Your father? Evelyn's face was cold now, hard. He went out in that storm because of you. If you hadn't been sick, he'd still be here. You killed my husband. 20 years. 20 years of knowing and not knowing at the same time. 20 years of feeling it in every cold glance, every comparison to Nia, every time love got withheld. But hearing it said out loud, hearing her mother finally admit it, broke something that couldn't be fixed. "I was a child, 8 freaking years old," Simone whispered. "You're embarrassing us," Evelyn said, sitting back down like the conversation was over. "Again. Can we please just have one nice dinner without you making everything about your feelings?" Simone stared at her mother, at this woman who'd spent 2 decades punishing a child for getting sick, at Nia, who sat there silent, complicit, at Sean, who was trying not to smile. She grabbed her coat. "Where are you going?" Evelyn asked, annoyed, not concerned. "None of your business." "Simone, don't be childish." "Happy New Year, Mom." She walked out, didn't look back, got in her car with hands shaking so hard she could barely get the key in the ignition. Her phone lit up. Gee-ho. She couldn't talk, couldn't form words. Let it ring. It rang again and again. She drove out of Newark, onto the highway, toward Manhattan, toward the only person who'd ever made her feel like she deserved to exist. The city lights blurred through her tears. Bridges and buildings and the river. Black below. When she finally pulled into the parking garage of his building, it was almost 11. She sat in her car for a minute, trying to breathe, trying to stop shaking, failed at both. She took the elevator to his floor, used her key, let herself into the dark apartment. He wasn't home yet. She didn't turn on the lights, just sat on his couch in her coat and stared at nothing. Time passed. She didn't know how long. Then she heard his key in the lock. The door opened. He stepped inside, stopped when he saw her sitting there in the dark. "Simone." His voice was gentle, careful, like she might shatter. She couldn't look at him, couldn't move. He crossed the room, knelt in front of her. "Baby, what happened?" That's when she broke. A sound came out of her that didn't feel human, raw and broken and 20 years old. "She finally said it," Simone sobbed. "She finally said it out loud. He died because I was sick, because I needed medicine. It's my fault my father is dead. And she'll never forgive me." Jiho pulled her off the couch, into his arms, held her so tight she could barely breathe. She felt his jaw clench against her hair, heard his teeth grind. "You were 8 years old," he said, voice rough. "She doesn't care." The words came between sobs. "She's selling the house, giving everything to Nia. All that money I sent, all those years of trying, it meant nothing. I mean nothing to her." He didn't tell her it would be okay, didn't give her empty comfort, just held her while she cried, one hand in her hair, the other rubbing circles on her back. When she finally exhausted herself, he carried her to his bedroom, set her on the bed, helped her out of her coat, her shoes. She curled up on her side, staring at nothing. He lay down behind her, pulled her back against his chest. "I'm done," she whispered into the dark. "I can't keep doing this." "Then don't. Family doesn't treat you like this." His arm tightened around her waist. "Family doesn't make you bleed for years and then tell you it still wasn't enough." She closed her eyes, felt exhaustion pull her under. "Sleep," he said quietly. "We'll figure it out tomorrow." Morning came with weak winter light through the windows. Simone woke up still in her dress from last night, Jiho's arm around her, mascara crusted on her face. She reached for her phone on the nightstand. No notifications, no calls, no texts, nothing. Her mother had said those words, watched her walk out, and hadn't even checked if she was alive. Jiho stirred behind her. "What time is it?" "Almost 9. He pulled her closer, pressed his face into her hair. "How are you feeling?" "Empty." She stared at her phone. They haven't called. She felt him tense. Good. Is it? She turned to face him. She said my father died because of me, and then just nothing. No follow-up. No checking if I'm okay. His hand cupped her face. What did you expect? An apology? I don't know what I expected. Her voice cracked. Maybe just something that proved I mattered. Jiho sat up, pulled her with him. His expression was dark, controlled. I can make them regret it, he said quietly. Your mother's house. I can buy it out from under them. I can make sure every door they try to walk through closes in their face. I can ruin them, Simone. Financially, socially, completely. Just say the word. She stared at him, believed him completely. No. No. I don't want revenge. She looked at her phone again. I just want to see if they'll call, if they'll reach out, if any part of them actually cares that I'm gone. His jaw tightened, and if they don't, then I'll have my answer. He pulled her against his chest, said nothing, just held her. 2 weeks passed. Simone moved her things into Jiho's apartment slowly. She kept her phone on the counter, checked it more than she wanted to admit. Silence. Her mother never called. Nia never called. Not to apologize. Not to yell. Not even to demand money or help with something. Just nothing. On the 14th day, she pressed block. Each tap felt like closing a door, final and irreversible. When she was done, she set her phone down and felt something loosen in her chest. Not relief exactly, just the absence of waiting. Abigail showed up that Saturday with coffee and pastries. How are you holding up? She asked, settling onto the couch. I waited, Simone said. 2 weeks. Thought maybe they'd call to apologize or at least check if I was okay. And nothing. Radio silence. Simone wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. So I blocked them. All of them. I'm done. Abigail studied her face. How do you feel? Sad. Relieved. Angry. Simone looked at her best friend. Is it wrong that part of me still wanted her to call? No, baby. That's not wrong. That's human. Abigail squeezed her hand. You gave her every chance. She chose not to take any of them. Yeah. So what now? Simone looked around Jiho's apartment, at the space he'd made for her, at the breakfast dishes still in the sink from this morning when he'd made her French toast without asking, at the bookshelf where her books now sat next to his. Now I live, she said. The days that followed felt different, lighter somehow. Simone threw herself into teaching, stayed late, helping students who struggled, brought in books from her own collection for kids who couldn't afford them, laughed more in the teacher's lounge. A week later, Abigail stopped by again, took one look at Simone curled up on the couch in Jiho's shirt, hair natural and free, skin glowing, and grinned. Girl, she said, you're glowing. Simone smiled. Am I? Yes, you look happy. I haven't seen you like this in years. Abigail sat down next to her. Walking away was the right choice. It was. Simone felt the truth of it settle in her bones. I didn't know I could feel this light. 3 weeks after she'd blocked them, Simone was grading essays at the kitchen counter when her phone buzzed. A notification. Someone had tagged her in a post. She opened it, expecting something harmless. Her heart stopped. It was a Facebook post in a parent group from her school district, posted by Evelyn Davis. Her mother had written a long, calculated post claiming Simone had abandoned her during a health crisis, that she was worried about Simone's mental state and the children in her care, that a teacher who could abandon her own sick mother might not have the character to guide students. Every word was a lie wrapped in concern. Simone read it numerous times. Her hands shook. Jiho came out of the bedroom, took one look at her face, and crossed the room. What happened? She showed him the phone. His expression went lethal. cold and controlled in a way that made her shiver. "She's lying," Simone said, voice hollow. "She's trying to destroy your career," Jiho said quietly. "My guess is she tried to call, realized you blocked her and decided to weaponize your job instead." Simone scrolled through the comments, already 50 of them. Most sympathetic to Evelyn. A few people defended her though, not many. "I gave her 2 weeks," Simone whispered. 2 weeks to reach out, to show me that some part of her actually loved me. She chose silence, and now that I've moved on, she's trying to ruin my life. What do you want to do? Simone looked at the post, at her mother's calculated lies, at the comments from parents questioning her character. "This ends now," she said. She was done being quiet. She opened a new post and started typing. Simone's fingers flew across her phone screen. The post took shape, line by line. Jiho noticed her stillness first, the way she'd gone quiet, focused. He crossed the kitchen, looked over her shoulder at what she was typing. She felt him tense behind her. She wrote about the money. 8 years of payment of $1,500 every month. She wrote about the gym membership on Christmas, about how she was blamed for her father's death when she was 8, about New Year's Eve when her mother finally said it out loud. She kept it factual, clinical. Let the truth speak for itself. Then she started attaching screenshots, bank transfers showing every proof, text messages from her mother demanding money, criticizing her weight, comparing her to Nia, a photo of the gym membership card. "Simone." His voice was quiet. "I know. Once you post this, you can't take it back." She looked up at him. His expression was concerned, but not stopping her. "She tried to destroy my career with lies," Simone said. "I'm just telling the truth." His hand settled on her shoulder. "Then do it." She hit post. The response was immediate. Within 5 minutes, 20 comments. Within 30 minutes, 100. The post got shared to other parent groups, community pages, the school's alumni network. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. The first comment was from someone she didn't recognize at first. Then she read the name again. Patricia Davis, her father's sister, the aunt she'd lost touch with years ago. "I'm Richard Davis's sister. I've watched Evelyn treat Simone this way after my brother died. Everything Simone posted is true. My brother would be ashamed of what his wife became. Simone, I'm so sorry I didn't speak up sooner." Simone's throat tightened. Then the church ladies started commenting. "I've known the Davis family for 15 years. We always wondered why Evelyn was so cold to Simone. I remember Simone doing all the yard work at that house while Nia sat inside. Even as a teenager, she was the one taking care of everything. Parents from school. Ms. Davis is an incredible teacher. My son struggled with reading until he was in her class. These attacks on her character are disgusting. I'm appalled that I believed those lies. Ms. Davis, you have our full support." A former neighbour. "I lived next door to the Davis family for 10 years. Simone was the sweetest child. Evelyn was cruel to her even then." Colleagues from school. "I've worked with Simone for 5 years. She's dedicated, compassionate, and brilliant. These attacks are baseless." Then someone posted a screenshot of Evelyn's original post before she'd deleted it. It spread everywhere. People who hadn't seen it the first time saw it now, saw the manipulation. Nia tried to defend in the comments. "This is a private family matter. The community wasn't having it. Your mother made it public when she tried to destroy your sister's career. You sat silent while she abused Simone for years. You don't get to lecture anyone. Where were you when your mother was bleeding your sister dry?" Then the comment that changed everything. Evelyn's mother. Simone's grandmother. "Evelyn Marie Davis, you should be ashamed. I didn't raise you to treat your child this way. I'm cutting off the support I've been sending you. You're on your own." Simone stared at her phone. Her grandmother had been sending Evelyn money too. Baby! Jiho pulled her against him. Breathe. They believe me, she whispered. People actually believe me. Because you told the truth. Her phone rang. Principal Martinez. She answered. Hello? Simone, I just saw everything. His voice was warm. The school stands behind you completely. We've gotten calls supporting you. You're an asset to this school. Don't let this shake you. Thank you, she managed. When she hung up, she was crying. But this time, they weren't sad tears. 6 months later, Evelyn Davis sat in an ER waiting room at 2 a.m. with chest pains that turned out to be a panic attack. The nurse handed back her insurance card. We need you to verify coverage in your patient portal before we process this. Evelyn stared at her. I have the card right here. I understand, but we need to confirm it's active. You can log in on your phone. Evelyn pulled out her phone, stared at the login screen. She didn't know her username, didn't know her password. I don't remember, she admitted. Customer service can help reset it. Numbers on the back of your card. The automated system was endless. Press 1, press 2, hold for the next representative. She tried 3 times before giving up. She called Nia. Mum, it's 2 in the morning. I'm at the hospital. I need you to access my insurance portal. Silence. Then, what happened? Are you okay? Chest pains. They think it's anxiety, but I need to verify insurance or the bill will be thousands. Simone always handled this. I don't know the login. More silence. Nia. I don't know how to do that, Mom. Simone set everything up. 20 minutes later, Nia called back. I can't get in. I tried every email, every password I could think of. It's locked. You'll have to call in the morning. That'll be too late. Then I don't know what to tell you, Nia said. Simone did all of this. She managed your appointments, your insurance, your bills. I don't even know what half of it is. Evelyn hung up, sat in the parking lot after they discharged her, bill in hand, $3,000. At home, more bills waited, late notices, the mortgage payment missed. When had it been due? Simone used to remind her. The gutters were full, the yard overgrown, the kitchen faucet still leaked, all the things Simone had quietly handled. Evelyn sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by bills she didn't know how to pay, looking at a house she couldn't afford, and realised what she'd lost. Not the money, not the labour, the daughter who did everything for her. And she was never coming back. Meanwhile, Simone Davis stood in front of her classroom, teaching her students with all smiles. After school, she met Abigail for coffee. You got it, Abigail said, grinning. Got what? Don't play. The Teaching Award nomination. Teacher of the Year finalist. Simone felt her face heat. It's just a nomination. It's recognition that you're brilliant. Abigail hugged her. I'm so proud of you. At home, Jiho was planning something. He wouldn't say what, just told her to dress nice Friday night. 1 year after New Year's Eve, he took her to Per Se. Simone wore an emerald dress that hugged every curve. Her natural hair fell in soft curls. Gold jewellery caught the light. She felt beautiful. They were seated by the window, Manhattan spread below them. You're staring, she said. I'm admiring. Jiho reached across the table. You look happy. I am happy. Course after course came. Jiho fed her bites of everything, watched her taste each dish. Dessert arrived. Chocolate souffle with passion fruit sorbet. He spooned some up, held it to her lips. Good? She tasted it. Rich. Perfect. So good. Across the restaurant, the door opened. Evelyn and Nia walked in. Simone saw them before they saw her. They looked smaller, tired. Evelyn's hair wasn't perfect. Nia had lost her glow. They were being seated when Nia glanced across the room, froze, tapped her mother's arm, nodded toward Simone's table. Evelyn looked. Their eyes met across the restaurant. Simone saw her mother's face go pale, then hard. Evelyn stood. "Mum, don't," Nia said, but Evelyn was already walking towards them. Nia followed. Jiho felt Simone's hand tighten on his. He followed her gaze, expression going cold. "Do you want to leave?" he asked quietly. Simone watched them approach, her mother and sister. Then she did the kindest, cruelest thing possible. She turned back to Jiho like they didn't exist. "So, I told my students they could rewrite their essays." She continued mid-sentence, smiling. "You should have seen their faces." Jiho caught on immediately, leaned forward. "What happened?" Half the class rewrote them. One student went from a C to an A. "His essay made me cry." Evelyn and Nia stopped 3 feet from the table. Simone didn't look up. Kept talking, kept smiling, kept living. "That's what teaching is about," she said, "giving kids permission to try again." Simone. Her mother's voice cut across the table. Simone's hand stilled on her fork, but she didn't look up. Jiho did, and his expression was lethal. "Can we help you? I'm talking to my daughter." "She's not interested." Simone took a sip of water, still didn't look at them. The silence stretched. "Are you really not going to acknowledge me?" Evelyn's voice cracked. Simone looked at Jiho, only at Jiho. "Should we get coffee after this?" "Whatever you want," he said softly. "Simone." Nia now. "Please." But Simone was done. After a long moment, Evelyn turned and walked back to her table. Nia followed, looking back once. Simone didn't see it. She was already laughing at something Jiho said. They finished dessert, paid, stood to leave. As they walked past Evelyn and Nia's table, Simone didn't glance over. Her hand in Jiho's, head high, walking toward the door. Outside, the air was cold and clean. "You okay?" Jiho asked. Simone looked back through the window, saw her mother sitting there, staring at the door, saw Nia with her head in her hands. They looked lost. Simone felt nothing, not anger, not satisfaction, not pity, just peace. She turned to Jiho, smiled. Real and bright and free. "Perfect," she said. They walked into the night, into their life, into a future where love didn't have conditions. Behind them, Evelyn Davis sat at a table she could barely afford, watching her daughter disappear into a happiness she'd never be part of, and Simone Davis, for the first time in 26 years, didn't look back. The end. That was something. This actually happened to a friend of mine. Some things are made up, but you get the picture. Sometimes the family you're born into isn't your family at all. Sometimes your real family is the person who refuses to let anyone make you small. If this hit close to home, hit that subscribe button. Stories where plus-size black women get chosen, where toxic families face consequences, where the best revenge is just thriving. I'm not done telling them. Drop a comment. Would you have posted the receipts or walked away quietly? Let's talk about it.